Alright guys, let's get started. Yeah, I'll throw in some music after this, so just let it play in the background. I'm going to start doing that more now we've got this music bot dialed in. We do need to get our Campfire Constellation song on Spotify. Maybe I'll talk to Loco about that. I'm not sure what it takes to get on Spotify. I think you have to pay for it, but you get, some royalties, I think, if you have a lot of plays. So maybe we can get him to put it up and we can play it over and over again so he gets paid all day long. But yeah, hope you guys like that song that he did. I've played it over and over and over again. I love it. It grows on you even more. I mean, I like all types of music, so I know I usually put in some EDM in here, but I like it all. It just seems to kind of good background music for me anyway. Helps me focus and work. All right. So AMA, good DK's in here. I'm not sure if Connor's going to join, but yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a ton going on this past several weeks, especially with stacks and top tier signals, LFG news. Like, we have all these things happening in camp. However, in the background, we're still working on all the PFPs. It's still on track for late summer. And for those of you that weren't in the previous AMAs, the big question is always, what chain are we going to do this on? I really do think Base and Blast are kind of in exploratory phases right now still. Remember SEI, or SEI, S-E-I? Remember that craze was around for a while, right? Where everyone was minting and going on that chain, but even though it hasn't disappeared, it's kind of died off, right? There's just like this little hype window, and then it goes away. And so I'm trying to see which chains are going to stick. Base has been around for a long time. It's finally taking traction, in my opinion, because of the thanks of Blast. Both layer 2s, Nemo posted an article in Education Today on L2s, and also I had posted a bunch of stuff too on Blast and Base, and so make sure you guys understand it's really not that complicated. How to bridge, exchange, get ETH over there. Gas is like pretty much non-existent. That said, with the assets we have, everything's on ETH, and I'm still 100% fine with that, because we're not a trading volume based project. I don't expect to see a bunch of volume every day on our collections, and that's because, what do you guys think? It's because utility, right? And I think that's what most NFT projects should be, is something that you want to purchase because you get X, and that X should not just be art and community, in my opinion. I think art and community should just be the bonus layers on top of the utility that you receive. And in my opinion also, that number one utility should be, what are we here all for, right? We're here for money. We're here to make some money, right? Regardless of how you phrase that, regardless of how you look at it, the biggest reason why we're here is to make money in a fun and exciting Web3, right? It's never without action or drama, and there's just so many things that happen. So I have a blast in this space. Stefan's in here now. Him and I were kind of discussing about it today, about how crazy this space is, but how fun it is at the same time, right? And so that said, with this PFP project, I'm going to explore other chains just because it's got a bigger collection, right? It's 777. I still don't expect it to be a ton of volume, so I am still open to having it on ETH. And ETH, it goes up and down, right? There's been several months where ETH has always been consistently over 75 Gwei, and then there's been a ton of months where it's consistently under 50, and we're back under 50 for the most part. Kind of on the down times throughout the day, I've seen ETH, in the 20s, sometimes even lower. And so if you guys need a tracker on that, I did do a block native Chrome extension training. If you go on to video recordings like way back, but that's a great way to keep track of ETH. So Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the front runners right now, obviously, just to keep it on ETH mainnet. Um, if Blast and Base really take off, well, that would be kind of like the two other alternatives. Um, Solana would probably be next, and then Ordinals likely last. Um, it gets pretty tricky with developing contracts also. So cost is definitely something to keep in mind. Again, we're not a volume-based project where we are bringing in a ton of secondary royalties, and so this is all like been grassroots type project, right? We hire within. Um, you know, MindQ, did our website. DK, Connor, and myself are putting together all the art. I will be spending some money on marketing and getting these into like these AlphaBot raffles and collabs with other communities with your help, hopefully. And so I love it this way. I mean, I love how it's grassroots. I can care less about sales volume. I can care less about Twitter followers. We haven't paid a dime to make this grow into something massive. It's just kind of been, uh, you know, word of mouth. Um, tell other people that have like-minded ideas and thoughts and goals in this space, and we bring them in, right? And so, um, so it's going to look a little different with bringing in, onboarding a lot more people into the space. But I really encourage you guys to look at that as a good thing because first of all, they're never going to have the same utility as we have, as campers have, right? As glampers have, as Camp Dial members have, and so they're going to have their own type of utility, and you guys are going to have that as well. I did sneak a little bit of alpha last time we did this, where some of it's going to be stock utility, how to trade stocks, and we're going to have like kind of like $100 to $5,000 challenges and more stock calls through there. Um, Obviously, you guys are going to be getting a one-for-one airdrop too, so you're going to have that utility immediately. There's some other things too, as we start rolling out. Just a side note on the Campfire Syndicate, right? I mean, let's just say Stacks gets their act together, and we have that availability through Apex still. So that would be maybe one syndicate, another syndicate maybe top tier signals, and maybe there's a third syndicate down the road, right? And so that could all be some utility tied in, not all of them, but maybe some utility tied in with the PFPs as well, just to make some passive. And we have the Vispix Xborg. They have a auto farm there too, so we can actually get yields from trading through bonds. And so there's lots of options out there, right, to consistently kind of pull together money and as a syndicate and make yields on a passive basis or passive income basis. And so it's no different with this extension of our community in the PFPs. I want to deliver a massive amount of utility with like kind of out of the box thinking with the PFPs. And so, you kind of have the core utility of alpha camps, and then just a completely outside of the box type thinking of utility with the PFPs. And so I'm not. The goal is not to try to create all this sales volume. Maybe all it takes is a few people to send out tweets, and I'm never going to pay an influencer to go out and pretend that they really care about our project. It's all going to still be grassroots from that standpoint. But you never know. Like the weirdest things have happened where you've seen certain projects absolutely run in momentum and volume on mint day, and you just can't figure out why, right? And so that may or may not happen. I'm expecting it not to happen, and which again I'm totally okay with that. The more important thing is bringing in more people and helping them, educating them, helping them become better traders. What do you think that's going to do with your guys' assets, right? It's just going to, people are going to want to be part of that. And I kind of teased it in the actual DC the other day, the DAO one, where another part of this utility would be possibly creating a second DAO. And so ours, the first one is almost filled, and once that's filled up to 99, we can't add to it. But as I was speaking with our CPA, we can always open another one that goes to 99. And maybe that second DAO is focused on the PFP. And what we're going to do there is, Alpha Camps currently gets 20% of everything, all the profits from the DAO, right? And that helps keep Alpha Camps afloat and pay all the bills. On the second DAO, let's just call it the PFP DAO, whatever that would be called. We, make it a legal entity as well. And the DAO, Alpha Camps DAO LLC, which you guys are all part of, would make 10% of those profits from the second DAO, right? And so that would be some thinking and some new utility that you guys would have. So you guys are bringing in a consistent basis of 10%, and a lot of it too would be the same trade. So it wouldn't be a whole lot more work on my end. If we get into, let's say, Imaginary One's VC deal, right? We get in at a seed round. The AC DAO gets into it, and so does the PFP DAO, let's call it. When those tokens are released, the Alpha Camps DAO gets their tokens as per usual, and the PFP DAO sells those tokens, and Alpha Camps DAO gets 10% of that, right? And so all those profits that keep rolling in, right? And so that's part of another side of utility on those things. Obviously, the first step would be to fill up our current one. We're kind of out of tokens. We have a few limited amount of Camp DAO tokens and GP tokens. And the reason why that's always kind of been, especially with, let's just talk about the glamping pass real quick. And this is going to tie in with the PFP, so don't get me wrong here. So the glamping passes, kind of capped off right around 150, 160. And the reason for that is I don't want to oversaturate those, right? Like we have these passive plays coming in, and I want to make sure that everyone that's holding one glamping pass is paid really well, and so with somebody that's holding 10 of them, right? And so I want to not oversaturate that, and then at the same time I want to fill it up to 99, right? And so you can kind of see the dilemma there. And so I'm going to kind of keep that, I hate to use the word fluid, but as passive income continues to increase, we may raise up those GP holder amounts. It kind of depends. So it's kind of like a living, breathing thing, guys. And so for the time being, it is definitely going to be capped off at 150, 160 or so. So we only have a certain amount of those left. And I know there's Camp DAO passes out there floating around. And I think the Vault owns, 4 or 5 of them, something like that. So that would onboard 5 more people. The DAO just picked up one. And so it may look like one of these things where, the PFP Mint happens and a few of those are going to want to acquire an Alpha Camps pass so they can get into the original DAO, right? The OG DAO. Because you still have to have the Alpha Camps pass. And so what is that going to do to your guys' floor price, right? Our floor price is just going to continue to rise. I think we're sitting at 1 ETH or so. Nothing's been sold for quite some time. And so the demand's just going to go up for all the assets, right? And including the Campfire Constellations mint that we just did, which, by the way, you guys have another month to mint out for that. And as you guys all know, that 1-for-1, that Camp Constellations mint is going to be your ticket. That's why I did the ERC 721 contract, which just means that there's a token number associated with all those tokens, versus the 1155, which you guys are used to, where there's just one, like when you go to OpenSea or Magic Eden, there's just one, right? If you go to Magic Eden or OpenSea now, Campfire Constellations, you'll see all the 123 or whatever we've minted so far. And so those are going to be, a spreadsheet's going to be built, and whenever you claim through your form, which I'm going to be sending out fairly soon, I want to start getting to work on those 1-for-1s. That's going to be the most time consuming. That way myself and DK and Connor can start knocking those out. We've already knocked out, I don't know, DK, how many campers 1-for-1s, and then including all the camp counselors are done. We're going to reveal Sweden's today. Mine is not done, but we've had, I think, 7 or 8 7 or 8 campers that have volunteered to be guinea pigs, and those are done and really cool looking. And so we'll start knocking your guys' out as we go through this, leading up to the end of summer. And so you're going to know exactly what yours looks like before mint, and then when mint comes, those are going to be all airdropped to you, straight to you. All right, just go through questions here. I don't think. Looks like we got a few people win. Yeah, OG rule. Yeah, it'll likely move that way, Nico, where all the camper OGs will be a different color and considered the OGs, and then all the PFP folks that come in will be called campers, something along those lines. Possibly, Nico. Yeah, we'll chat about that. Might be a way to incorporate that. As you guys know, we're using AI, so the art process works where I put together the prompts and punch out art, and let's just use the customized one-for-ones. We will just work for you directly. It's going to be through Discord DMs with myself. I don't know. We'll see if Connor and DK want to be part of those DMs. I'm okay with that, but I just don't want to add a whole lot more work to them. But usually what we've done so far is I kind of just work through you, come up with something that you guys really like, and then once that's done, I pass it over to DK, which he can add or get rid of a lot of blemishes, clean it up, because sometimes AI just knocks out the weirdest things. And then Connor, throws on the traits. DK can also do that. And so they just clean it up and add the AC traits to it, which they've all come out really, really well. Who's in here that's had theirs done yet? I don't think anybody in here, we've done theirs yet. No, not yet. So we might share some with campers, one-for-ones too. But yeah, to answer your question, Nico, we could probably do that. I'll just have to figure out different prompts to throw into the AI. So that's kind of how the art process works. You guys can throw questions at any time down there. And again, I'm really happy with how the art's coming out. And another reason why we decided to just do it on our own is, you just look at some of this art that you see in Web3, and it's just horrendous, right? And it's very lazy art, in my opinion, a lot of times. And it's funny from somebody that's doing AI. But there's a lot of work that goes into AI too. I don't consider myself like an artist coming up with these prompts. Become very creative. I think creative is a better word than an artist. But just being creative with prompts and trying to kick out some consistent type of art. And the cool thing too is I'm kind of going against the grain that you see a lot of times in these collections, because they all have kind of like the same kind of traits. They all have the same kind of look. We're kind of getting outside of that box and not really putting in any rules. Of course, all the commons are going to kind of have some cohesiveness to them, and they're all going to kind of, you'll be able to tell, like, okay, that's an Alpha Camps, PFP type style collection. But the rares and one-for-ones are completely out of this world, like completely different from the rest, and they're really going to stand out. And there's not really any rules besides the fact that they face to the right. Thanks to DK, really, really wanted that. But no, I do agree with DK, just having them facing the same direction, the same general direction. They're either going to face straight at you, quarter turn to the right, or all the way profile to the right. And so those are kind of the three angles. And you're going to notice that pretty much all the commons, if you look through the PFP teasers, you can kind of see, like, hey, they're out camping out in the mountains. I know you can camp anywhere. You can camp in the desert. You can camp, wherever. But the general theme, and you can kind of see that through all the Twitter posts, is, kind of more like the mountains. If you're in if you're in the States, kind of like Colorado, you got to think of like the Rocky Mountains are massive out here in the States. And so, I used to live out there in Boulder, and I was very inspired through all that. And my wife and I love to camp, growing up, and then love to camp still now. And just that whole vibe, trying to incorporate that into these PFPs, and then also adding a twist to it. We teased last week, you know, some like inspiration ones, right? Like we had Tony Hawk on there that we did a rare with. You'll see some. You saw the Yeti. So if you just go through the PFP teaser channel, you can kind of see kind of what we're doing with commons, what we're doing with the rares, and what we're doing for the 1-for-1s. All right. Bear Mountain for New Yorkers. Yeah, I mean, there's some beautiful mountain ranges out East Coast as well. Absolutely, I love it out there. So let's do a few teasers here. I'm going to share screen. Hopefully these show this time, right? I remember last time there was an issue. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see it? Cool. So, yeah, I mean, you got to have a bear and a bull, right? So this is the bear. This is like one of my wife's favorites. But yeah, he's just cruising through the mountains. So, you're going to have, kind of like humans, animals, and everything and anything between zombies, like you name it, we're kind of doing it, right? And so this one, we may cut off a little bit of the waist because as you can tell from the others, they're mainly kind of like chest high, right? And so, I don't know, I love this guy. And, we'll probably do 2 bears, 2 bulls. We got the bull done as well. But yeah, I mean, you got to have bears and bulls. But I kind of like this one just because he's, in a bear market, going through the snow, kind of going through the tough times, but still hiking on, still carrying on. So that's our bear. That's a rare. As you guys have noticed too, all the rares are going to have the Alpha Camps patch on them in some way, some form, whether that's on their clothing, whether it's on their backpack, or just incorporated somehow in there. And so if you guys mint more than your customized 1-for-1, then you'll be able to know immediately if you got a rare. And one thing I am going back to is like, kind of the old school way of NFTs where, traits matter. And so there's going to be significant difference in the utility if you have a common, you're going to kind of get bare bones utility versus getting a rare versus getting your customized 1-for-1. And so those campfire constellation, if you have more than one or if you can grab an extra one, not only is it that you're going to get a 1-for-1, but it's going to have massive amount of utility too. And so those might be something that you guys can sell for quite a bit. So if somebody's kind of papering one of those, I would snag those up for sure because it's not just about the music there, which is amazing, and the art's amazing, but that's kind of like your ticket to the most utility that these PFPs are going to offer. And so yeah, it's going to be layered, right? Layered with the 1-for-1s you guys are getting with the most utility versus rares, which will have great utility, versus commons, which will be kind of like the bare bones, right? And so definitely going back to that, that's one thing I've always liked about this space is ranking rarities and having utility attached to it. Before it was just like, oh, I got a rare, and so I can flip that just because of the art. Well, in this case, not only is the art going to be really cool and better than the commons, but also it's going to carry utility behind it, right? And so yeah, it's almost like if I could dream up of a PFP project that I wish there was around, this is going to be it. So super excited to kind of also share just a little bit of alpha at each of these AMAs every 2 weeks, just to give you guys an idea. And you guys will be obviously whitelisted if you guys want to mint more. Price is just, that's way far away. I haven't even thought about price. It just depends on where the market is, how much ETH is, or Solana or whatever we do it on, right? There's so many variables there. And so But you guys know me. I've never charged an arm and a leg for anything to mint. I think our mint price was point 0. Who's an OG in here? I mean, was it like 0.028 or something? Or it was really cheap. Maybe, I don't know. I think it was 0.028 or 0.0123 or I don't know what it was. But and ETH was like $1,000 at the time. So I think it was a $30 mint. That's what I'm remembering. If anybody else can correct me, but I'm pretty sure Alpha Camp's Genesis mint cost about 30 to $50, something like that. And now they're worth, yeah, $3,500. So I'm happy with that. All right, let's look at the next one. Yeah, $30. That's what I thought. Oh, there you go, Joyce. Thank you. Yeah, and that's a lot more now, but I do remember we minted when ETH was. We minted, and then I think ETH was like $1,200, something like that. 1.2, I like it. Yeah, and we haven't had sell in a long time, which I love. I mean, most founders would want to see volume. I don't want any volume. I want you guys to hang on to that tight and throw it in your ledger and never touch it because, it's your Web3 family and, you're making a lot of money here. So, next one. Yeah, anybody guess who that is? So, got to do Elon, right? I mean, he's just the face of crypto Twitter, and just the fact he's into crypto. Whether you like him or not, you got to have him in the collection, right? And so, and of course, I'm gonna tag him. Once we have this release. But yeah, he's got the Alpha Camps little patch. I really like the bright colors of kind of like the pinks and the turquoises, which kind of simulate sunsets and sunrises. And so that's why on a lot of these rares, so this is another rare, right? Because you see the AC patch. So a lot of these rares are going to have these types of colors. And I mentioned it before, some of these are going to be just influences in my life growing up, and some of them are just going to be straight up, crypto Twitter type figures, right? We have a Steve Aoki, which we'll tease later. We have, I don't know, DK, who are some other, oh yeah, we have Snoop. Of course, we got Snoop ready to go. He's a big crypto Twitter guy, NFT guy. Can you guys not see, or is it just D's? D's non-KYC nuts, man. He just cracked me up. Something different every day. Okay. D's, maybe exit the room and come back in or refresh. It might be slow for you, internet connection or something. So yeah, I mean that's Elon. The rares are going to be a broad mix of say animals, creatures, and then also crypto Twitter figures, and then just some influences growing up. All right. So now we got Sweden, which Sweden couldn't make it today. But so Sweden, he changed his PFP recently. But if you guys, can somebody pull up his old classified PFP? Let me see if I can find it. Because I want you guys to, one of the things we're doing, especially if you guys have no clue what to do, like, the form's going to come to you, and, they're going to ask, I'm going to ask you, like, hey, what do you want this to be? Do you want this to kind of, like, look like you? Do you want it to be kind of an alter ego? Do you want, like, a PFP of you maybe when you're younger, or superhero, like, you name it, like, whatever it is that you're kind of thinking. And one of the things, like, if you're kind of stumped, is like, well, why don't we just take your current PFP and just do kind of like our own take on it, right? And so that's kind of what we did with Sweden's. I don't know if anybody's working on trying to find, because I really do want to pull up his old. just see if I can find it real quick. All right, I found it. All right, so this is what he had before. It's kind of weird, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this is DK's favorite, but let me pull it up. So as you can see, kind of has that same sort of mask, and I think the mask is cool because it's kind of encapsulates what Web3 is all about, just kind of being an anon, right? And then the AI, I was able to generate it where it has kind of incorporated a forest or the mountains, pine trees. Yeah, totally. It's kind of creepy, just like Sweden's old PFP. And so, if you really look at the details of it, and DK did such a great job because it was pretty sloppy at first. It kind of had lines randomly everywhere. And then, as you can see, you got the AlphaCans emblem, which signifies that this is a one for one. This is a customized PFP for each of you guys. And so each of those are going to have that. And then you can see Connor did a cool job with incorporating the emblem and then also the little camp counselor patch on his shoulder. And so another thing too, and is it on this one? DK is Sweden incorporated into this. So another thing that I don't know if this one has it. I thought we put it on his chin, but another thing a lot of those customized one for ones will have is your Discord name or your name or whatever it is. Nico, maybe even in your case, if we can't put your son in there, maybe we put your son's name in it somehow. Um, yeah, yeah, we can totally take your Boki and make something cool out of it, kind of bring it to life, right? And so yeah, I want you guys to. This is one of those things too where Sweden's like, I have no clue, man. Like, sorry, Pri, but I just don't really know how to even answer that question as far as putting together a PFP for them. And so that's where I kind of go like, well, let's just work with what you have, right? Let's take what you have, and you saw it in DK's also, right? The little squirrel guy, he incorporated his PFP on the shirt, right? And so there's lots of ways to be creative here. And the cool thing is we get to use your creative mind, we get to use mine and DK's and Connor's. And so you kind of have a 4-person team and you're involved in that creative process. If you guys read that last Medium article I did on Campfire Constellations, I kind of go into that about how valuable and to me it makes you a little bit more attached to it when you're involved into the art process, right? It's like when you spend some money on something yourself, how you kind of want to take care of it and nurture it versus if somebody just gives it to you, right? And so when you're part of that creative process, I think you become a little bit more attached to it. And it's not easy either, right? I mean, there's some times where there's just like a lot of back and forth. I know D's and I have been a lot of back and forths with trying to create something that you're in love with, right? And so when you guys are filling out those forms, it's really easy to kind of just throw out the first thing that comes to mind. But I would love it if you guys kind of put on your creative cap because you don't have to be an artist to be creative, right? And I mentioned that earlier. You don't. I think everybody has a lot of creativity potential in them. Maybe they don't show it or exercise it, but everyone has some sort of creative gifts, and so I'm hoping to get that out of you, and then put together our minds to create something cool that you are proud of and love to rock. Right. Another thing too is my feelings won't be hurt if you guys don't use this as your PFP. Right. Maybe it's something that you're attached to your current PFP, and you just love the fact that your customized PFP is in your wallet. Or maybe even this way. maybe you don't plan, maybe you just want to flip this one for one. And so now maybe since you can't think of something for yourself, or it's just kind of overwhelming, or you don't want to do it, maybe just come up with a really cool one for one that you think that most people would like and want to buy, and then your goal at that point would be to flip it for a lot, right? Because you have this airdrop to you, so it's free, so you're already in the profit. And so maybe you create something with a flipping mindset. And so I'll never judge or you guys for any of that, right? Because you'll be able to still mint, and maybe you get like a rare, or you buy yourself into a rare, or you buy a bunch of commons, whatever it is, right? Because you're an AC holder. That's the most important thing. You're going to have the most utility. Every utility that these PFP has, right? You're going to have them. And so just something to think about. I want you guys to just kind of think outside the box with this creative process. DAO deposit window, D's, possibly. We still got a few more days, so we'll just check to see. We'll check to see what's up with stacks. They're supposed to give an update today on syndicates. Yeah, if you want to flip, and that's kind of why we're using those celebrities. I won't touch politics. um, yeah, that might be where I draw the line. Like if you're like, I want you to create me a Trump and a Biden NFT. I'm gonna say no with that. Anything, religion and politics, I'm gonna stay away from. Stay way from. Yeah. But yeah, I mean celebrities and musicians, artists, crypto Twitter, you name it. There, I'm all about it. Yeah, if you want a Patty NFT, you're gonna have to do that yourself. So yeah, I hope you guys like those teasers. I'm gonna put them up in the PFP teaser chat. But yeah, I mean the goal from here moving on. I mean we're moving into April, so Q2. We want to have these released and minted in Q3, unless the market is absolute garbage, which you just never know. I don't know. I'm not convinced we're in a bull run yet until we've been in it for a while. We're kind of in this mini bull, like, period. We've had those several times over the past several years, right, where you just have like a month or two where things are running and then everything just dumps, right? And so it'll be interesting to see what happens after halvening in whatever that is, 20 days, 25 days. Yeah, Nico, that brings up a good point. We're grassroots here, right? Guerrilla marketing, I don't know if you guys know that term, but guerrilla marketing, just, there's lots of books on it. It's just ways to market effectively on a budget, and oftentimes that can be the most powerful type of marketing. So I'm hoping, we can get the whole crew together, because again, it just benefits you guys too. It's not just all this, this is definitely not some sort of like cash grab or trying to raise a bunch of mint funds so that I can go buy a Lambo or anything like that, right? It's like long term, and ultimately, everything leads to you guys being able to trade and make a lot of money, and then also a lot of this leads to joining the DAO. And so I leaked earlier about how having a DAO part 2 through these PFPs with more passive streaming through there. So if you guys think about it, I mean, if you have a PFP and there's a very successful DAO attached to it that only has 99 members, you guys are going to be able to flip some of these if you mint extras, and you guys are going to have whitelist obviously to mint more. Probably, I'm thinking at this point, most campers will probably have an option to mint 2 to 10 more, something like that. Just all depends. Leading up, there's so many factors and variables with chains and market and price and all that stuff. Yeah, and I think one of the best ways you guys can help market is, once I give the green light, just talking with all the other communities you guys are tight with and trust, and just getting collaborations happening where they can enter AlphaBot or Prement I'm likely going to use AlphaBot in this case, but just entering in these, and you're going to start to see AlphaCamp's Twitter start to get a lot more followers and retweets and likes, all that stuff. I do think that model works still, the AlphaBot model. Um, Pre-mint is still kind of in second place by far, I think. But yeah, just using the AlphaBot model where you collaborate with lots of communities and get a lot of. I make a post, to enter the raffle in order to win a whitelist. For alpha camps, you got to join the server, you got to like, retweet, etc., right? And so you'll see a lot of people. And one thing I will be stern on, and I hate it on my end when you're entering an AlphaBot raffle and you have to enter their Discord. I mean, I usually skip over those, right? Because I don't want another server. But in this case, I'm going to force that issue. And so if you want to win a whitelist, you'll need to join our server. And then that's another area where you guys will come in and try to help out at the lake and welcoming people. And the server's going to kind of blow up, and things will change around here. But the beauty with Discord is you can ignore the lake if you want, right? So if it does get a lot of chatter, you can stay in your safe place if that's your personality type, and just stick in the alpha chat and all the channels that we currently have, right? And so, yeah, I mean, just imagine we have, let's just call it, I don't know, 600 whitelists, and it's going to be oversubscribed for sure. So you might have an extra 1,000 people come into the server. Who knows? Yeah, we might do that, Nico. We might incorporate some more, get some sort of mods involved. Yeah, I haven't thought about that quite yet. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to definitely layer in the marketing. I'm not going to just have it explode and just be out of control. I want it to be very methodical and strategic, just growing slowly the server. And but yeah, we might need some help with that. All right, do we have any other questions, guys? All right. Well, hey, listen, I'll get the music bot back up here and just chill for the day. And I don't know about you guys, but man, what a week, right? Like I forget what day it was, 2 days ago, whatever day that was. I mean, I probably put the most hours I ever have. And so yesterday, Padre game came on and I signed off, man, which was great. So I feel a lot more refreshed today. I think Tommy's in here. Tommy went to the game. He's local. So we are going to have hopefully a mini little Alpha Camps meetup, go to the Padre game. But yeah, for the baseball fans, opening day at Petco Park in San Diego was yesterday, and so baseball's back, which is awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, lots of hours this week, being able to recharge through that, make sure, and this is how I always feel too, and get a pulse on when things are kind of, irritating you, or things are kind of like you're kind of boiling up or getting upset at the space. That's always like your body's way of telling you, like, okay, I just need to sign off for a bit and do the things I love to do and kind of put this on the back burner, right? And because it's always going to be there the next day, right? And I missed out on all these mints that day too, which was kind of frustrating. But all week I've missed out. I mean, I had so many great whitelists, but missed them all just because of other stuff, right? And so just know that that's part of the process. There's going to be days where you're super excited to be in this space, and there's days where it kind of pisses you off. And so going back to what we always talk about is just having that balance and just kind of stepping back and listening to your body signals and your mind signals and this goes for me anyway, and everything. Like I used to do this with my career too. Where you kind of just step back and recharge and come back at it with that kind of like a fresh mindset that helps so much. And so it's really easy, and I'm sure a lot of you have done this, where you're in Web3 and between Twitter and Discords and Mints and raffles and all these things. You look at the clock and it's like 2 hours just went by, right? And you're just not taking care of yourself. And so just make sure that you guys take care of yourself. It's really easy to get sucked up into all that. And I'm in a weird transition too, where I've been doing this full time now for 4 or 5 months, and it's just so different from kind of getting in the car and driving quite a bit, and meeting with a ton of people each day, and all of a sudden now to being predominantly in front of my computer most of the day. And so just trying to find new routines to keep the mind fresh and to create growth and all that has been a challenge, but a fun challenge though at the same time. And so the reason why I say this is just make sure you guys enjoy the weekend, get outside. For those of you that celebrate, it's Easter weekend in the States, and so lots of people are out here camping and traveling and seeing family and all that good stuff. So hope you guys enjoy it, whether you celebrate it or not. Hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Feel free to hit me up. I'll be around most of the day. All right, any other questions? Yeah, Easter. So the whole Easter thing with the kids and Easter egg hunts, all that fun stuff is on tap for us. Hey, those are pudgy penguins. We gave our kids some pudgy penguins. I'm not sure wherever you guys live, if you have them in your stores, but out here they have them in quite a few stores. Pretty cool. Seeing Web3 into actual stores is pretty cool. Not in India yet, yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll send out mass pudgy. We need to get another one, huh? That was a great flip on my end, right? It was, but it wasn't. We bought at 3.89, that pudgy that we had. It's insane. Ran to like 20 ETH. And we bought that at 3.89 when ETH was really low. It's kind of crazy. Still got a 5 ETH flip, but yeah, my conservative buy, aggressive to sell. The aggressive to sell kind of hurt us at that point, but you know what? I always say this too, like if you're more aggressive to sell for profits, you're going to win in the long run compared to somebody that hangs on too long and it goes to zero, right? And so taking those profits, being aggressive, taking those profits will always win you. You're going to have some things that hurt like that. Mocha's another one, right? We sold our Mocha like at 1.1. It's like when it went to like 6 ETH. And so I've done a lot of flips where we could have, in quotes, made more. But the reality is that we profited from those plays, right? And that's important to think about from a trading standpoint, is just to stack wins, stack wins, stack wins. I don't care how much I could have made, stack wins, right? Versus holding on too long, buying the top, just digging yourself a hole over and over, beating yourself up, right, for hanging on too long because you think it's going to go to 20 ETH and it never does. Most of these just, go back to zero or retrace way back down, right? So I want to have an old-fashioned trading session. We haven't done that in a while, so maybe we'll do that next week. Where it's just a, NFT trading 201 class or something, right? That's right. Profit is profit. And I love seeing you guys. You guys are killing it on the meme coins, which is great. Killing it on the multi-chain flips. I love seeing it, man. Keep it up, guys. I love seeing all the wins. We need to get back to posting wins each week on Twitter. There's just a lot. So maybe I will start. Maybe I'll get a few more camp counselors like you mentioned, Nico. We'll figure that out. Need some help, I think, at this point. It's just a little too much. And the PFP coming up, I want to make sure we execute. All right, guys. I'm going to bounce, get outside, get a workout in. Wish you guys the best Friday. Talk soon.